Special shout out to all our patrons who support the show every week. Head on over to patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast and subscribe today for bonus content, special shout outs on social media, and so much more. Patrons, you help keep the Run, Eat, Drink podcast going, and we couldn't do it without you. Not a patron yet? Join us today at patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast.
You can also support the show by using our brand new Amazon affiliate link anytime you shop on Amazon.com for things like running gear, food, beverages, or anything else the little gray trucks might bring your way. Just go to runeatdrink.net/Amazon anytime you shop. It costs nothing extra, and it helps us keep the lights on and the bandwidth flowing. Go to runeatdrink.net/Amazon, and we thank you for your support.
Hi, I'm Jeff Galloway, and you are listening to the Run, Eat, Drink podcast.
Welcome to the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We feature destination races from across the country. And after the race, we take you on a tour of the best local food and beverage to celebrate. So whether you are an elite runner or a back of the packer like us, you'll know the best places to accomplish, explore, and indulge on your next runcation. Hey, welcome to episode 230. Hey, welcome to episode 230 of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. I'm your host, Amy.
And I'm your co-host, Dana.
Welcome to our show. And we're back.
We are. We've had back-to-back travel weekends.
Well, and also we had something last week, a little thing called Nicole.
Yeah, we don't like to talk about her. Not a fan.
She could just move out of,
Well, our friends along the eastern seaboard got to deal with her after we did. And 0 stars, would not recommend.
We hope everybody who had major impacts all of you are well and safe.
Absolutely. We were fortunate here. The impact was typical for what we would see for a tropical storm. We get them more frequently than hurricanes. And we were fortunate. Our roof had been repaired.
Yes,
so we didn't have to sweat whether or not we were going to start taking on water here in the house.
I know a lot of people haven't had that done yet, so there were issues there
locally. A lot of people locally were scrambling because they have the blue tarps up still, and they didn't know if their tarp job was going to hold. And with the tropical storm force winds, that can be enough to dislodge the tarps, whether they're fastened by sandbags or they're fastened with fairing strips. So it can make you a bit nervous during the recovery phase. So
absolutely,
we were lucky and very fortunate. We appreciate everybody who reached out to us to check on us.
Yes,
and thank you so much for that.
This episode will not be a hurricane episode.
Finally,
we will be recapping our Wine and Dine race weekend experience.
Yeah, this is of the Disney races, this is the one we typically say is the most quote unquote on brand for us.
Is. Not that we dislike the other weekends.
No.
Truly.
No. We had this discussion yesterday with some new friends that we met on a race course.
Yes.
And we were saying that you should at least do one Disney race.
Just to get the experience.
It's an experiential event. And like we've said before, the bling is usually pretty awesome.
We're captivated by the bling, but also I think the race course experience, which we'll get into today.
Absolutely. So we're going to be talking about the Run Disney Wine and Dine Half Marathon weekend race events. And we're going to be recapping some food and beverage from the 2022 Epcot Food and Wine Festival.
Oh, yes. And I would say that these offerings are not necessarily international. I guess.
I think there might have been some.
Would you say they qualify or?
I want to say international influence,
Oh, maybe.
but not international in and of themselves.
Yes. Fair.
How's that?
I don't know. They're not international to us.
No.
They might be international to our friends from across the pond.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Stay tuned to hear what exactly we are talking about in terms of the food from the Epcot International Food and Wine Festival 2022. But first, Amy has scoured the social media.
I hope.
And
oh my gosh,
has some shout outs for us for this week.
First up, this week will be celebrating very heartily, very loudly, a very special birthday coming up this week. Our executive producer in charge of hashtags, Josh Osborne, is celebrating this week.
My brother from another mother, thank you. He is just the best guy that you'd ever want to meet. He would give you the shirt off of his back, and he is, always ready to try to make you laugh, make you feel better.
Support you in any way he can.
And I am so grateful to have him not only as a sponsor of the show and executive producer, but also a friend and a listener. So Josh, happy birthday, man. 21 looks good on you.
That's right. And we hope that we know your schedule has been crazy.
Oh, yeah. He's a hardworking dude.
I know. We hope you're able to take some time, have a little bit of celebration, because you deserve it 100%.
Jennifer Hall also
Fun Size Jen
gets a little shout out this week because she got a PR in the 10K distance this past weekend.
Yay.
And what race was that?
It was the Bay Bridge Run.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with it, but the medal that she posed with in her social media looks like you would be tempted.
Oh yeah, this again.
I enjoyed.
I'm convinced that I was a raccoon in a previous life. I love the shiny things. The medal looked great. Congratulations, Jennifer. That's awesome.
And we want to say, there were so many people at the Wine and Dine Half Marathon weekend at the beginning of November. They were out there with us. Some we saw, some we just, because of the way our schedule fell, we missed saying hi to in person.
We did, yeah.
We just want to say, no matter what race you finished, no matter what race you started, no matter how you participated in the weekend, even if you were there to cheer people on, even if somebody brought a cutout of you and put you on some kind of stick to hold up,
stick.
like you couldn't be there in person, so you were there in spirit and on
a flat version of you.
It's flat you. It's flat you as the cheer squad. So however you were there and however you participated, congratulations to you all.
Absolutely. Now, I also want to shout out Darlene, who ran the Madison Half Marathon in Wisconsin. And that was a chilly one from what I saw, 21 degrees at the start.
Yeah.
But she wasn't the only one there.
No, Chris Twiggs' son. From what I understand, Chris Twiggs, if you are not familiar.
We've had him on the show.
If you are a newer listener and were not able to hear him talk about the Galloway training programs, he is the chief training officer for all things Galloway at jeffgalloway.com. And he does the customized training, which he discussed on our show.
Yes.
And his son ran in Wisconsin along with Darlene. So shout out to him as well.
Yeah. Now, Chris has a little bit of news.
Oh, yeah.
Because we have to shout him out.
As well. Yes. Bonus.
And I don't know when he'll hear this because of time zones and all of that. But congratulations, Chris, for completing the Athens Marathon in Athens, Greece. And he did it in 3 hours, 58 minutes, 16 seconds.
And his father finished it too.
That's so great. That is so great.
An entire weekend of success.
I love it.
For the Twiggs family.
I love that.
Congratulations to all of you and to another member of the Runcation Nation, Kelly Anderson, who ran the Fort Worth Half Marathon this past weekend, too. A lot of activity. She wasn't accompanied by Jessica because she had a high school reunion to attend on the other coast of Florida.
Right, I saw that.
Yeah.
I am super curious about some of the food and beverage Kelly might discover out there in Texas. I hear, from what I understand, they might have some pretty good barbecue out there.
Barbecue. And you know what goes really great with barbecue?
Beer. Uh-huh.
So we want to know, Kelly, report back to us. And congratulations on your accomplishment out there.
Absolutely.
Safe travels to everybody. Special thank you and congratulations to Meg Brower. We know how hard it is to come back after injury and surgery. We want to celebrate Meg's accomplishment of running for the first time since her surgery this past week.
The very first run after surgery, regardless of how long or how short it is.
Does not matter.
That is a huge accomplishment. We are super excited for you on that one.
So congratulations, Meg. You're on the comeback trail. I can feel you getting closer and closer to that castle in your Walt Disney World marathon weekend endeavors with your mother as you celebrate your birthday on that weekend in January.
Oh, that's going to be a great weekend.
And also during Hurricane Ian, during everything that happened in Hurricane Ian, Meg reached out and donated to our fundraiser for the Donna Foundation for Donna Marathon Weekend.
Yay!
And we can't thank her enough for that. Supporting it. And I think she may be coming to it in 2023.
That would be awesome.
I hope so.
We want all of you to come to that race.
Yes.
All of you.
And finally, Meg sent in a shout out of her own.
Oh, very nice. Let's hear this.
Yes. She says, I want to shout out the members of the Runcation Nation. I continue to battle through surgery recovery, and I'm finally seeing some positive results, which we just celebrated.
Yes.
I can't thank this online community enough. Collectively, you supported me. Individually, so many of you regularly checked in on me. The gratitude I have for all of you is indescribable, really. Today is World Kindness Day. The kindness shown to me through the Runcation Nation is something I will never forget. Special shout outs to JoJo, Susie, the birthday boy, Josh. She didn't say birthday boy, I just threw that in there. Fink, Jennifer Hall, Dawn Broussard, or Dawn Be Joyful, as she writes in her note, and Rhonda Lee, the pink-haired princess. I just added that part. Additionally, I want to shout out both Amy and Dana. In the midst of your own struggles, Brian and I always knew you had our backs and were supportive of my healing and comeback. It finally appears I am solidly on the comeback trail, and I won't ever take for granted the support extended to me from the Runcation Nation community.
Aw. Thank you, Meg. That's amazing. Yay. Well, we're very excited for your healing and comeback. We cannot wait to see what you do going forward. So we're super excited for you. For anybody who would like a shout out on the show, please don't forget to send them to us. We do our best to collect them throughout the week, but sometimes we miss things. Mm-hmm. And if you send them our way, we won't. Send them to info@runeatdrink.net. info@runeatdrink.net. Or
you can call us and leave us a voicemail message that we can play on the show at 941-677-2733. That's 941-677-2733.
Shall we talk running?
Yes, let's.
So as we said at the top of the show, we're going to be talking this week about the 2022 Run Disney Wine and Dine Half Marathon weekend. we kind of prepped everybody for it with one of our lives where we were talking about, what people can kind of expect, what the
with an
event is
episode
like.
where we went through the courses.
Yeah, we broke it all down for everybody.
We also gave previews of a couple of our favorite food booths.
We did.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we diverted very much from what we talked about in terms of, what the experience is generally like, what the courses were like, certainly because we were going over this year's course maps.
Right.
But let's talk a little bit about the whole experience. And ours, we have a very unique perspective this year.
We do.
We had some challenges
Very
from the get-go.
challenging. Yes.
And we're going to talk a little bit about that and how that impacted our weekend and how it impacted the run. So, first of all, we normally tell people getting there Thursday
Is a good thing.
is a really good thing.
It's great.
If you can do it.
Yes. And we want to hear from the Runcation Nation now that that weekend has come and gone, what that virtual queue shopping experience was like at the expo.
I am so curious about that because I have thoughts. I have thoughts on
and we don't know how it went.
on what it would have been like or what problem it addresses and what problems it doesn't address.
And how the experience overall felt if you're a shopper that really loves to get that Run Disney merch. You know what I mean? So if you had an experience there, I mean, I'm sure we could scour social media for feedback about it.
But I want to hear from
I want to
our
hear
listeners.
from our community, from the Runcation Nation, if you experienced it, what was it like? How, because we missed it.
We did. We did not get there in time to do the virtual queue. And when we did arrive there, first of all, our arrival was late Friday. We didn't actually roll in to...
You
literally.
said like rolling up in the Jeep.
We didn't even roll into the parking lot of the ESPN Center until 6:00 p.m. Friday.
Well, we might have been maybe a little bit earlier.
No.
No?
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. 5:30.
Like maybe
5:30,
5:30.
5:45.
Yeah.
Because we only had an hour on the expo floor.
That's true. Proper once we got our bibs and everything.
Yes. So we go to packet pickup and we go through the whole process. It's exactly like we've talked about. But
it's laid out in that huge building so that there's plenty of space for people to pick up bibs, and it's set up for, here's your 5K stations for bib pickup, here's your 10K, here's the challenge, here's runner relations. It was very spread out and fantastic, and they had people monitoring whether or not runners completed waivers.
yes.
And if you didn't, they had a process before you entered that arena.
Super simple.
That was super simple. And I even thought that I hadn't done the waiver. And the guy goes, you probably have here on your pass. Check it out. And it says that whether or not you signed your waiver, because I signed mine like months ago.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's positive.
Yeah.
I like that.
They've got that down to a science.
Yeah.
And this was our first time having to talk to runner relations, I think.
Yes.
Which we did. And we're going to get to that in a minute as to why we had to talk to runner relations. But we did talk with runner relations. We had a great and positive experience with them. And we were able to get through the packet pickup process probably, no kidding, 15 minutes tops. And that includes us having to talk with runner relations. So we were really fortunate in that respect. And we benefited from Disney's experience over the years of knowing how to move people through queues and get them from point A to point B where they need to be, doing what they need to be doing.
It really was a quick experience in there picking up our bibs. And talking to Runner Relations, yes.
Yeah.
The line really moved, and there was a line for Runner Relations.
There was, yes. Yeah. So then we went from there over to the expo. And the expo is in the big Jostens Center where it normally is. Mm-hmm. And it's basically right across the walkway from the other building where you do the packet pickup. And what can you really say about the Run Disney Expo other than it's an event in and of itself? I think that they've done some things to reduce the overwhelming nature of it.
Overwhelming nature.
Yeah,
well,
in
it's a lot of
previous
sensory
years,
overload, and there are so many booths usually
yes,
of vendors.
I think that by moving the merchandise to its own area, they free up that floor space. So it gives you a little more room to move.
Yes.
And I think that they probably have just downsized it a little bit. I don't think you have quite as many smaller vendors there as you used to, or some of the bigger vendors don't have as big of a space.
I think it's both.
Okay.
Actually.
It could be.
Yes, because I love Boulder athletic wear. They made the skirt that I ran in for Wine and Dine.
I've got running kilts from them. Yes.
And they had a smaller space than they normally do. Normally they'll have one that is super huge and they'll have a changing room and things like that. And it was a more simplified experience in their booth.
Yes.
Still the same great stuff. Still the same great people.
Oh, yeah.
Same great stuff. Same great products, I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think it was, just a little bit less sensory overload.
Yeah.
Is what it felt like to me. You could still find everything you needed.
Oh, and please don't take what I said to mean it felt small. This was a huge expo.
Mm-hmm.
There are 1, 2, 3, I want to say 4 rows of, or aisles of vendors, 3 or 4. I mean, it was huge.
Mm-hmm.
You know, both sides, every product you could think of.
You could get socks, you could get fuel, you could get
shoes, extra clothing,
tutus,
you name it.
Yeah.
Plenty of nutrition stuff there and recovery items. Like
yes.
TINS units and different things out there that maybe you've always wanted one and you just wanted to play with it and try it out. They're doing demos.
Yes. They did demos. And of course, Jeff Galloway had his booth there. And that's where you could go find out information about the Pacers. So it was very comforting to have him be kind of the last booth before you exit.
Yes.
It's that last boost of energy. It's like him being the character stop right before the finish of the half.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I also like the fact that you do still pick your shirts up there.
Yes. And I thought they did a great job of spacing that out on both sides of the building. Mm-hmm. In the very back past all the vendors for all the different races. And the people were very nice. The gear bags were a little bit smaller this time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they were.
Yeah. Not that that's a big deal. We never use the gear bags ourselves, really, except for dirty laundry carrying that home.
Yeah, we don't do gear check anymore at Run Disney events. We did not have a great experience with it the first year, and then ever since then, I'm like, really, honestly, what do I need?
Right.
I don't have a need.
Yeah, we don't really need it. We go back to the hotel and kind of have that midday break.
Exactly.
Like Mike Rallman likes to discuss on his show, the Be Our Guest podcast. And we just don't need it. But I think they've probably improved the process from what we saw, ever since we kind of abandoned it.
100% they have. I would have no reservations about doing it. But what happened was once we didn't care for it, we decided that's just not going to be a thing we do. And our last, 12 years of Run Disney experience, we've got our own rhythm.
We do, and we carry what we need on the race course. We don't really. There are a lot of people who are very well prepared, who have gear check, and who immediately upon finishing the race get into their recovery sandals and then join the post-race party in the parking lot. But we don't.
Especially those who are doing some of the higher mileage challenges.
Right. We stay in our gear during that party and then go back to the hotel and decompress and recover and do things. We're a little bit different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now we've talked about the packet pickup. We've talked about the expo. Let's talk about the first race. And if you were paying attention to what I said, when I said we didn't roll in till 6 p.m. on Friday.
And the 5K was Friday morning.
The 5K was Friday morning. Yeah. That is what we call a clue. We were not able to get there for the 5K event that we registered for.
That's true. We were sad to miss it, but family comes first.
Absolutely.
And we needed to take care of our family. And it wasn't, we got a lot of feedback in the Runcation Nation group about, do you think they'll have packet pickup the morning of the 5K? And a lot of people provided feedback in the Lizards group for the Be Our Guest podcast, for the Extra Mile, for our Runcation Nation Facebook group. A lot of people provided very helpful feedback that we will carry with us into future race weekends.
Yes.
But we could not take advantage of it this race weekend, because we needed to take care of family. So
we said, since we're going to miss it, there's no rush. And it actually worked out rather well for us because our roofer showed up and did our roof on Friday,
which was great.
We were actually able to be here for that.
Yeah.
And when we got up there, we said, you know what? Let's at least see if Run Disney can give us a little Disney magic. And that's what prompted us to go talk to Runner Relations.
Yes.
So we head over to Runner Relations and we kind of laid out for them what was going on and the reason for us being tardy.
Yes. We provided documentation for taking care of family and the hospital stay that we had to make sure that my dad was taken care of and that my mother and everybody was okay. And everybody is okay.
Exactly.
And we're very thankful for that. So we explained the situation, what happened. We provided documentation, and the young lady that helped us disappeared behind a curtain for, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes. Not even. And she came back out and she had medals in her hand, because when we talked about it with her, we're like, is there any way that we might convert to the virtual and still get the medals? Like we saw people over at the 5K booth that had the bibs. So we got the bibs and we know we're going to get the shirts, which is great. And we're very thankful for that. But is there any way we can get our hands on that Coco-inspired medal and turn it into a virtual? And she came back and she had the medals in her hand and said, you can turn it into a virtual. Here you go.
Yeah. She absolutely was the hero of the day.
That was a bunch of pixie dust to start off our race weekend right.
So we owe the running gods a 5K so that we can proudly display this medal. We are absolutely going to do that as a training run, probably here in the next week, I'm guessing.
And if we can find maybe a 5K proper to run it, we will. And if not, we'll do it as a training run here in the neighborhood.
Exactly. So that's the Friday race that we missed. Then,
our friend Mark Valentine and fellow podcast host said it was a quite delightful race.
Yes.
And he did very well.
Yes.
So shout out to him.
Great job, Mark. And of course, this is a challenge weekend. So the challenge actually does not include the 5K. I think we mentioned that previously. The challenge is the 10K and the half. And the 10K was the Saturday race. And 10K is, I think, my preferred distance.
You love it.
For
You
races.
have said throughout the history of our show that is your distance.
It's long enough to be challenging. It's short enough not to throw off your entire day. And even if you run it hard, you don't feel completely smoked after it. Because it's still half the distance of a half marathon. So I like it. And when you do the Run Disney events, they're the perfect distance so that you can get some quality park time on your run. And
I loved that.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about that. So the next morning we wake up. I think we did a 1:30 wake up.
No, we didn't.
No?
2?
Well, I think the alarm started going off at 1:30.
Yeah. Well,
as I recall.
I don't really remember. I was too tired.
So we get up. Our pre-race ritual for Amy typically involves 30 minutes of yoga at least. You got a pre-race stretch going. We got dressed. We were out the door from our hotel by what, 3:30?
Yeah, between.
And
That
we
time.
decided to drive. We are big fans of driving ourselves to the races.
I like it. I like parking next to where we know anyway it's going to be the finish line party. And even though you might feel like at the end of a race you are walking
to Mordor.
Yeah. Another race.
Lord of the Rings fans will get that.
Or what? Then it's still closer than hightailing it and waiting for buses. And we in the past there have been very long lines for us as back of the packers for buses that get you back to.
And depending on where the buses drop off too, you can have a much longer walk than if you park.
Right.
So
we drive.
We tend to drive.
We drive.
And
there's no the buses are great. And if you're going to imbibe at the post-race party, the buses are great to take advantage of.
Absolutely.
A wonderful option so that you can play it safe. I mean, you could also do rideshare is not too far away. The pickup for rideshare, because the post-race party was in the Epcot parking lot, and the rideshare drop-off is kind of near to the entrance of Epcot. So you could do that as well.
I was also going to say, theoretically, you could drive to the race, park. If you imbibe at the post-race party, you could ride share back to your hotel. True. And then your vehicle is already parked at Epcot if you're coming back.
If you're coming back to that park anyway.
Yeah.
As I had planned to do, but I was too busy celebrating with fellow members of the Runcation Nation at the post-race party and meeting up with them and celebrating, and that I just lost track of time and I didn't get into the virtual queue for Guardians.
Right.
We fully anticipated coming back,
tried.
but we just didn't make it in. So
let's talk about the 10K race proper. I think that the course description we gave was spot on. The weather was pleasant enough, but super humid. This was a humid weekend, but the air temperatures itself, I think the highest it got while we were running was 75 degrees.
Yes, mercifully so.
But that's deceptive.
Because of the it's not dry heat like Arizona, it's wet. It's a wet, moist heat that when you get up and you're warmed up and you're doing intervals, even at the back of the pack, even standing out in it, in the corrals.
There's no evaporation at all. And it was so muggy, you were able to see the halo around the street lights. Mm-hmm. So you just have to keep that in mind. And even the race announcers were talking about this, and they were constantly reminding people to hydrate.
Hydrate. Even Carissa, before she took off to run the 10K.
Yeah, she ran it.
So shout out to Carissa Galloway. We were on the same course as one of our favorite race announcers.
Indeed.
Yeah. She was very mindful of saying, let's hydrate. And then she ran the race. So I know she followed her own advice.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I thought the on-course entertainment was great.
Yes.
Plenty of it.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the character stops, although I didn't stop at any myself.
We tend not to because I'm super just wanting to stay in the race. I'm afraid to stop, I guess I should say.
For time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even in a 10K.
I understand.
So sometimes Dana will stop and do a drive-by or a run-by selfie photo.
I don't ever get in the line.
Outside the line.
I don't get in the line.
So sometimes we have people behind us. It would be really cool if there were members of the Runcation Nation taking a character photo and we did a run-by selfie you had. It would be so great. But we don't. But they are entertaining, and they do provide, music and sights that you can focus on during the distance when things get tough.
Yeah. And I think that the DJs this year did a great job of actually trying to interact with the crowds.
I know it. That was the first time I had really, truly noticed it.
Yes. Oh, I think that they were doing it more this year than they have in years past. Mm-hmm. That's the reason why. Mm-hmm. So DJs did a great job. The character stops were all great. Now, I didn't really see any character stop where I was like, wow, look at that line. They all seemed like they were pretty
fast moving,
either fast moving or just well moderated.
Yeah.
Moderate length lines. And in typical Disney fashion, it was, I think, 60 seconds or 120 seconds between waves when they let the corrals go.
Yes, I feel like it was spaced out, and I was
2
happy.
minutes?
Maybe. We didn't really time it, but no. I thought we were spaced out pretty well, and it didn't feel cramped anywhere.
No. And this race, the 10K, it started you out on the roads, and then it ended you in the parks. Mm-hmm. So I think
and we weren't on the road for that long, really.
No, not too bad. But this one enabled the runners to really space out or stretch out.
Yeah.
Of course, you finish at the World Showcase, you go around the World Showcase, and then out into the parking lot at Epcot and cross the finish line, and where we got this really killer medal.
Didn't even know until we talked to the ladies yesterday.
Yeah, we didn't. We just got an extra bonus about our medal here.
I didn't know that it was an opener, that it opened this Wine and Dine 10K medal. But it does. It is themed after Raya and the Last Dragon and takes inspiration from the vibrant music, stories, and magic of Southeast Asia. So the character is here, and she's got kind of her weapon and musical notes around her. And then I didn't even know. I thought that was it. I thought it was just raised up from the silver ring around her,
which is a dragon also.
Which is a dragon, yes. And it says 2022 Disney Wine and Dine 10K. But then I realized that part of her weapon you could use it to open.
Where it says "I did it" on the back of Raya,
her,
and then you've got
a character inside.
Yeah, it looks like a unicorn.
Yeah, and musical notes as well. So we, admittedly, we haven't seen this movie.
No, this is one we have not seen yet. So.
But it looks like it's just so cool, and I like how it's like the stained glass on this side. When you have that part open, it gives it like a stained glass kind of effect.
Yeah, like a sun catcher type. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really cool.
And I really, really like that. And then it does pay homage, if you will, to the 50th anniversary of Walt Disney World on the back.
On the back, yeah, they've got the embossed Disney 50 logo. Mm-hmm. That is a very high quality piece of bling right there.
I love it. And the ribbon was just, it's got the purple and the light blue and the dark blue. Wine and Dine 10K. Shocks is the sponsor. And
the color scheme runs through from both characters. So Yeah, they did a phenomenal job with that
Same
medal.
color scheme in the shirt, and I liked the color of it, which matched this.
Very nice.
Yes.
So that was our 10K experience. We got done with that. We headed back to the hotel. We did get a post-race recovery beverage in the celebration area.
Yes. Shout out to Dean and Judy.
Yes.
As well as his sister who came. Judy and his sister ran the 10K, and I believe it was his sister's first 10K. So shout out to her. And
we also ran into Mark.
Yeah, we ran into Mark, fellow podcast host, This Is Life, the Diz Life podcast.
And some of our fellow listeners from This Is Life as well.
So it was great to see them and celebrate with them. Mark specifically waited for us, which was great. And Dean and Judy were looking for us. We just love meeting up with everybody. We even met up with somebody from that was there from the Will Run For podcast community.
Yes.
And had Aaron of that hosting foursome had Aaron her face printed out and on one of those sticks that she could take pictures all around. It was so cute and I loved it. So just meeting the people either in the corrals or at the post-race party, fellow podcasters, podcast listeners, people in the Runcation Nation community, we all, that always feeds our soul.
It really does.
Our souls are just energized by that. So it was a great time.
It really was.
Great time. Yeah.
Telling you, 10K is the distance.
10K is the distance. And maybe we'll start to do those more often going forward.
Oh, look at that. Dana might get his way for once.
Stay tuned.
Translation, no, he's not. Okay, so let's talk about the half marathon.
Really?
Yes, really.
Come on.
Let's talk about the half marathon. Now, the half is the signature race of the weekend. It's the big one. It's the crown jewel, if you will. And the half marathon for us, our pre-race game was a little better and a little more dialed in this morning. We
got up earlier and we set the alarms right.
Yes, we did not make the mistake.
So proud of that.
Losing that hour when we fell back.
Yes, pre-race for the win. Thumbs up. 5 stars. We got it.
Indeed. However,
so I got yoga and an ice bath.
You did. Mm-hmm. Yeah, pre-race ice bath. She's hardcore. However, in spite of all of that, the traffic gods decided to have their way with us the way in.
And we were up early and out so much earlier than the day before. We were trying to get there to get to the front of our corral to give us as much cushion as we could against, apart from those lovely ladies, the balloon ladies, which we love them. We've met them on the course before. Dana has interviewed them on the course before. They're wonderful people. They're just keeping the pace. That's what they're doing. We just want as much distance from them as possible because we have had our own challenges this entire race season.
We have. Training has not been what we've wanted it to be. And, with everything else that's been going on, we were wanting every possible advantage. But the traffic gods were not kind to us. So it just took forever to get into the park this time. And there have been years where this has not been an issue. And there have been
years where they start late, where
absolutely
they delay.
Yeah. And I think that with making modifications to the race course this year, and they've had some similar problems in the last couple of years since the pandemic started. I think that this will work out, but this year was one of those
and
years
resolve
where
itself.
They needed to go through this for it to get better.
Kudos to Run Disney for stepping out there and making changes and trying things, and then they come back with feedback and refine.
Yes.
So good for them. I just felt we fought the traffic. And then we walked forever.
Yeah, because this race starts you out on Epcot Center Drive. And instead of starting you
In the parking lot.
in the parking lot.
Epcot.
So we had quite a hike going from our initial corrals, to the secondary corral, I guess is the best way to describe it. And while we were walking out there, which part of it involved crossing over one of their big treed medians.
Yes.
Or islands, to separate roads.
I don't know. It was so dark I could hardly tell.
They had to put down some plastic
walkway. Temporary walkway
to get people through there. So you're trudging through the woods, and then you get over there, and then it starts raining.
Oh yeah, that was nice.
So the 8% chance of rain that was forecast
was really like, it's going to do it for sure.
Well, we definitely got it.
And we also, in trying to get as far up in the corral as we possibly could, experienced some fire ants.
Oh yeah, I got a little taste of Florida's natural flora and fauna.
When we were on the grass.
That was fun stuff. Let me tell
you. So, yeah. And I noticed, I don't know if it was just me, but I think that the waves were fewer. Like they didn't split up the corral into as many mini waves. I
think you're correct. Yes. These waves seemed to be bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I don't think we had as much time cushion.
No, because we certainly got ahead of way ahead of the balloon ladies in the corral. We were in the first third,
I would say,
of the corral.
Yes. But I think they only divided our corral in half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're in lied part of the problem. Part of the problem.
Well, and the training challenges we've had, and I own up to my training.
Oh, sure. I mean,
was not what it has been in the past.
For neither of us for the last 2 months have had the training runs that we really wanted or needed. So we knew going into this that the half was going to be a challenge. Our
Very
last
challenging.
long run at or above our race distance was 6 weeks prior to this.
Mm-hmm.
And we had not had an opportunity to do one longer than that.
Mm-mm.
So, yeah. So race starts out. You're doing some running on the road
and kind of around the parking lot of Epcot,
and then you go into the park basically at mile 3.
Yes,
and that first part, they had some roadside entertainment. There's not much to look at though, because it basically is Epcot Center Drive and then a switchback.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of heading back towards the park, and there just was not a lot to look at.
No, not in that part. No. Now, I know that people in the latter part of the race in Hollywood Studios got to look at Galaxy's Edge.
Yes. This is the first race that was going to take you through that part of Hollywood Studios for the Star Wars fans.
And going to stay in Hollywood Studios for a longer time than in most recent years.
Absolutely. Probably not since the old nighttime
right?
wine and dines. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
I loved that.
A lot of stuff to do towards the end of the race.
Right.
And see.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the benefit of that is that it spreads the runners out before they head into Epcot.
Oh, the early part on the road.
Early part.
Spacing out the runners. That is what they did instead of starting in the parking lot and doing little mini waves.
Yep.
They used that distance around the parking lot and they're on the drive to space out runners.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we get to basically mile 2.
Well, mile 2. Yeah, back up.
And I'm checking in with Amy. Neither of us are feeling it.
We're struggling.
We're both not feeling good. Like, mile 1, we always discount. Mile 1 is the liar. Mile 2,
the warm up after being in the corral, standing still for so long,
and getting rained on the whole time,
mm-hmm.
and humid
rain,
just miserable. And heading to mile 3, we were, at that point, I could kind of tell your leg was not cooperating.
No. It decided you should have had a longer training run, and you should have had a little bit more, maybe strength training and more training in general right here in October leading up to the race. And it just wasn't, I was trying every way I could to mentally will my leg to go. And we had some great videos, great audio messages from Josh, from Susie, from Meg. Meg was sending inspirational quotes, little images of quotes, and checking in with us via text.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, and I was trying in every way to just send all of that to my knee and say, yes, we're not heavier than we were, the last time we did this race, and we're not undertrained, and we can do it. And listen to the Runcation Nation that has faith in us. And it just wasn't happening.
No. I can always tell if you ever get to the point where your run is not creating, that's the dog snoring in the background there. But I could tell when your run segments are not creating good distance from me when I'm walking.
Yeah.
And then I'm catching you. Mm-hmm. That tells me that something's going on. And I knew that. So I checked in with Amy and I said, hey, look, you want to hit the party bus? And at that point, we were right there with the balloon ladies, and we just made the proactive decision. We're going to the party bus. We're not going to try to fight them for the next 11.2 miles,
something
basically.
Yeah.
So we made that proactive decision right there at park entrance to Epcot.
Yeah. And just before mile 3, there was a party bus.
Yeah.
Just like, or I guess you could say at mile 3, there was a party bus, and we just were like, yeah, we're going to take that. We don't want to injure ourselves further, or I don't want to injure myself further because it was my knee that was holding us back. Mm-hmm. I don't want to injure myself for upcoming events that we have that we love so much. Donna, Gasparilla, Jeff's race, other things on the 2023 race calendar that we have not revealed yet.
That we're starting to schedule now.
I want to come back. I want to reassess. I want to get nutrition and hydration and training really dialed in. And it's okay. I think many in the Runcation Nation will say starting is better than not making the effort at all.
Yeah, a DNF is better than a DNS.
Right.
Yeah, and I agree. And look, we've done this race before. We've achieved it. We know we can do the distance. The fact of the matter is, if you're having a physical malady that's holding you back, doing what you're talking about,
overcome. It's not willpower. It's not the willpower. It's not, hey, I did the training and I know that you're fatigued from travel, etc. You can push through this. It wasn't that type of fatigue.
No. And it's important to remember also that, you can do the training, you can do everything that you can do to prepare. Everybody has outside influences that can adversely or beneficially impact your run.
Right.
And for us this year, we had forces that worked against us, and we were not trained to where we needed to be for this particular race. Like a hurricane. Yeah. So that's okay, like you said. So we've already started taking some affirmative steps. I know that you re-upped your training with Galloway.
Yeah, Jeff Galloway e-coaching. I'm very excited because he's so responsive. I told him where we were at, what we wanted to accomplish, and he sent me back a plan, and he says, don't worry. With those outside forces that you have, You just tell me what's going on and we will retool so you can get the training in and we'll make it work.
Yeah, exactly. And we've already started working towards dialing in the nutrition, and we are going to be talking a little bit about one of the things that we're doing here at the end of the show in just a bit. But that was the half. But let's talk about the medal real quick. Because this is one of those years where there have been years in the past or races in the past where I've gone, yeah, the medal. I mean, it's really nice. It's a Disney medal. They're all nice, but I've not loved the medals. This year, I love the medals. I think they're great.
Themed after Soul.
The movie Soul.
And it is a spinner with several different rings of spinning going on.
Yeah, it's like a 4X spinner.
It's kind of like those things that you had to make in school for science and with the planets, like a mobile like that. But, there are rings with musical notes that spin that are silver and blue. And then on the back of the medal, it says, I did it, the world's most magical celebration, 50th anniversary. And then there's the front of it, which is the Soul image and Disney Wine and Dine Half Marathon. And it's beautiful. It was the verbiage on the ribbon was in bright yellow saying half marathon. They had shocks on there and it was just like a page of musical notes.
Yeah. They did a great job on the ribbon.
Yeah, and the only thing that disappoints me about not completing the half marathon is not getting the challenge medal, which opens up to Robin Williams' version of Aladdin.
The genie.
Yeah, it's a gold kind of container, and then it splits open.
It splits in half and opens up kind of like a Beatles wings almost.
And then inside it says, I did it, 19.3 miles, and it's the genie's hands outstretched and musical notes all around him. So that is the one disappointment I can say that I have, because that's just beautiful too.
That would have been really cool to get.
Yeah.
But you know what? There's always next year.
Sure.
And
there are always other Run Disney races.
There are other opportunities. Yes. So disappointing. Absolutely.
Yes.
This provided us, I think we left there very charged and very determined.
Not sad and disappointed and not blaming myself for our outcome.
No.
I did what I could. I ran what I could. And we completed the 10K. Great day. And that getting onto the party bus did not damper the experience for me.
No. And
I don't know if it did for you.
Well, like I told you.
Of course, you're always going to be disappointed when you don't finish a race.
Say, you always check in with me for something like this. And I'm like, look, I am never not going to be upset and ticked off that we're not finishing. Right. That's never going to happen.
Right.
But at the end of it, so it's like, okay, this happened. Now what? So, well, the now what is you've got, coaching with Jeff. We've got, what we're doing with nutrition and exercise. And, we've already in the last 2 weeks begun implementing those things. Right. So this served a purpose.
It did.
For me, that's what's important.
And a lot of times when you have a race where you are challenged in these ways, the comeback is sweeter.
Oh, absolutely.
All that much sweeter. And I think that people in the Runcation Nation, fellow runners in the Runcation Nation, can relate to that and attest to that. So onward, as Ted Lasso would say, onward, forward. And we will accomplish, explore, and indulge with successful races in future race weekends.
Absolutely. So that's the Run Disney 2022 Wine and Dine Half Marathon Weekend. In a nutshell, for us, we recommend this weekend wholeheartedly to anybody who's looking to do a Run Disney event. Of course, we're going to have links in the show notes for you to check out Run Disney and see what events are upcoming. I believe the next one is Marathon Weekend in January. And then you have Springtime Surprise.
No, Princess. Don't forget about Princess.
Sorry. Princess. And then Springtime Surprise. So in the first half of 2023, you've got 3 great options right there. So check them out and check out the links in the show notes. You know.
I know what you're going to say. Everybody who's listened to this show for any length of time knows what you're going to say.
Am I that predictable?
But say it.
All this talk of running has made me very hungry.
So let's talk food and beverage from the 2022 Epcot International Food and Wine Festival.
Now, listen, we've had this discussion before. I love the festivals at Epcot. And now,
oh yes,
Disney has basically made it so that the Food and Wine Festival is the longest running festival of all of them.
Seems so.
It runs for months as opposed to a few days or a couple of weeks like it used to. They've kept extending it. It has the largest selection of food and beverage from around the world, although the other festivals do a very admirable job.
Well, I think Flower and Garden is right up there with it.
Flower and Garden is my favorite.
And I know it's your favorite.
I think it's all the benefits of this one, plus it's pretty.
Yeah, and beautiful.
They do amazing stuff where you're like, it makes you want to go home and do yard work till you realize you don't have an army of people to do all that stuff. So I love the Food and Wine Festival.
You know, we haven't experienced the Festival of the Arts.
No, that's the one we have yet to do. And
I think that Wine and Dine is the longest running. The shortest one is on its heels.
Literally, like I think they do like within a couple of days, they turn it around
to Festival of the Holidays.
Yes.
So,
and that's holiday food and beverage from around the world. And
yummy.
They run that basically in like November,
like the very last after Thanksgiving type, and or then, right around Thanksgiving they launch it,
and then like right after Christmas, boom, gone.
Getting ready for Festival of the Arts.
Yeah. But this one here, every year they change some things up. You have some tried and trues, then they change some things up. And in recent years, they have finally remembered that they have this building at Epcot that
has fabulous air conditioning.
It does, but it's had such neglect over the years, and it's called Odyssey. And it's kind of tucked away over.
I mean, if you're coming off Test Track, you can get there.
Yeah. And then like it's kind of tucked away across the water from the World Showcase. But it's a building that just for years sat there and looked a little dated. You know, with the signage, you know, it's very 80s kind of looking. And I kind of like that. But I'm glad to see
it's
that they're finally figuring out what to do with it. Yeah. So that's really cool. And they've converted it during the Food and Wine Festival to something called the Brew Wing.
Experience the Brew Wing. It's wings, it's beer, it's cider. We featured the vegan option the last time we talked about it. And those Brussels sprouts were there still.
They're magical.
They are magical. I would order them whether I was eating plant-based.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I guess they call it plant-based, not vegan, but I would order that even if I wasn't eating plant-based.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Those are some of the best like restaurant side Brussels sprouts I've ever had.
Bring it.
Amazing.
Bring it on. Those buffalo Brussels sprouts. But this time We went on a mission. You might normally find this food in a game day celebration. This food and beverage in a game day celebration. It might be a party platter full of chicken wings and a cooler full of beer and cider to fuel, I don't know, a football party.
Yeah, I hear there's a big game coming up here not too long from now. So you know.
Yeah.
So I think that you're going to be pleasantly surprised by the offerings that they had this year at the 2022 Epcot International Food and Wine Festival at
the Brew Wing. Okay, Runcation Nation, we are done with Guardians of the Galaxy, and we have moved on to the Brew Wing at the Odyssey, right here close to Test Track and Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, this is a closed facility that is like a flexible indoor space that they could use for you name it. You could do like a convention and have like little set up in here. You could do impromptu restaurant like they've done in here now with stand-up tables, and they've had it be several things over the years.
Indeed. And at the Brew Wing, which has been here a couple of years now.
Yes.
We have 2 out of the vast menu options. The last time we were here, we were eating plant-based, and we got the crispy Brussels sprouts with the buffalo sauce and the blue cheese, which was all plant-based. It tasted incredible.
That was glorious. That was probably the most non-plant-based tasting plant-based option I've ever had.
This time, we have 2 wing options. We have the sticky wings with peanut sauce and grape gel with celery and ranch. And we also got the dry rub jerk spiced wings with papaya chili sauce with celery and ranch.
Yes. Now, I didn't grab the ranch dressings. So I can go grab those. You talk about what you're seeing here. I'll be right back.
Okay. So the dry rub ring, I can't even talk, right? The dry rub wings. Say that 5 times fast. The dry rub wings. They look mainly dry, very, very little sauce, but there's definitely a spice. Not like a buffalo chicken spice, but just kind of a chili, tickle the back of your throat kind of spice. And then on the PB&J wings, sticky wings, we have a crushed up peanut topping, and they look significantly more soaked in the sauce. It's a more wet toss.
Yes.
And definitely sticky.
I'm back with the ranch, and I'm gonna grab a jerk wing first.
I'm gonna grab the sticky wings first.
Okay. They're nice and hot, tender.
Yes. Mine are hot, tender meat inside. Crispy exterior, but not as crispy as, say, a buffalo wing.
Okay.
Because the sticky sauce kind of softens the outer coating.
The skin.
And it's definitely more peanut butter forward than, say, the grape gel forward.
And on mine, this is a true dry rub.
There's a little bit of liquid, but
yeah, but the liquid is just the mango that they drizzled on it. The wings themselves are a true dry rub, and you really get a nice flavor of the jerk spice. This leans heavily into some of the warming spices that are really the signature flavor profile of jerk. So you get a lot of allspice and cinnamon. This is
really? You like it?
Really nice. It's got a little bit of heat.
But not like buffalo heat.
No. But this is a very warming flavor, warming feeling.
They're drier.
Yeah.
But that's a dry spice rub. Would you get them again?
I'd get these again, yeah. These are...
If you love peanut butter, you will love these. the sticky wings.
Let me try that because I'm also a fan of Thai flavors. So when you talk about peanut sauce,
It's sweet, but it's more peanut butter forward than, say, jelly.
oh yeah,
Yeah?
I see what you mean.
And I see what you mean about this spice, this warming spice.
How do you like it?
It's different. It's a different approach. I don't know. I know it's jerk seasoning. It just, I don't know. It reminds me of having a meat and rice dish. Very
Yeah.
warming.
This would go really nicely with some black beans and rice
Yeah.
or couscous. And
I like it though.
these
It's
are
definitely a strong offering.
these are totally opposite. There's no spice on these peanut butter wings at all.
No.
We say peanut butter, peanut sauce wings.
And the sweetness is from the peanut butter, and the gel is what's supposed to simulate the jelly.
They didn't overdo it.
Did they do enough?
They did for me, but I don't like overwhelmingly sweet
Or should that have been on the side?
to dip it in. Ooh. Actually, yeah.
Maybe.
And I think that is where it would have been nicer to have the mango sauce.
On the side. So sauce
Yeah.
is on the side. So that you can adjust the level of the sweetness.
Yes.
Yeah. Now,
Presentation-wise, they're both pretty.
oh yeah,
These are good-looking wings. You know,
for sure.
And again, my fear when you do something like this is always when you're cooking in mass that you're going to overdo and overcook. And it does not appear that they did.
No. I like this offering. I would definitely get it again. It helps that you can escape the heat here. You get a little bit of AC.
Yeah, that's
But you
really
have to shop for any kind of seat. Otherwise, you're standing at a table.
Yeah.
So, the drinks. Oh, what were you going to say?
And
Sorry.
we have a band setting up. We're about to have live music in here.
That's pretty cool.
Now let's talk about the drinks.
Yeah. So you got the Ivanhoe Park Brewing Company Pineapple Vibes Blonde Ale from Orlando, Florida. So it's a
and
local.
I don't think that I've ever had a beer from this brewery.
But we've heard of it though.
Yes. This is a medium gold color clear ale. On the nose, I get a hint of pineapple, moderate to high carbonation, and an aroma of pineapple without it being overwhelmingly
Sweet.
sweet. And there's no sweetness really, but it also has an aroma of real pineapple,
Nice.
not pineapple candy.
Oh,
Yeah, I like that. That is a nice hot weather beer right
for all of those who like cider, I got a cider offering because I love woodchuck.
I am very curious about yours. The color alone has my attention.
It's pink. It's like cotton candy pink, or like a Zinfandel pink, like a white Zinfandel pink. See-through, not cloudy. This is woodchuck guava hard cider, and they're from Vermont, Middlebury, Vermont. I get like a cider sweetness on the nose. And a little bit of that guava.
I love guava.
And the carbonation is like a medium to high carbonation. It's very light, very refreshing without being overly appley or overly really super sweet. Like, you know, guava is typically, you see it in like a guava and cream cheese pastry. And that can be really heavy. This is not. This is quite refreshing. What do you think?
I immediately get the guava on it.
Yeah.
The guava was something that we always had in the house growing up in Tampa.
Yeah?
And
Because we never had it.
you would buy just bricks of guava paste, slice off some, spread it on your toast. Yeah, you could do the cream cheese pastry with guava. Oh, that's amazing. But
That's a nice flavor.
you get
Very
a great
refreshing.
flavor with that, and it's not too sweet. You're
And
right.
it's not too heavy in body either for a hot day in Florida.
Try mine. You didn't have many of mine.
You know?
No, these are both great hot weather options.
It's very subtle, that pineapple. It's not like super sweet like a cider that's pineapple. Or it is truly the fruit that shines flavor. I like that one. It's super light. I love the carbonation on it. It's like medium to high, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very nice. And it pairs very well with your jerk spice wings.
Yes.
And this is not really overly sweet for mine, but I don't know if I would pair them together necessarily. But I think overall, the food and beverage here at Brewing at the 2022 Cot Food and Wine Festival, it's a strong offering.
Yeah, I can recommend this one as being one to check out, if for no other reason than the air conditioning. But it also helps that their food offerings in here and their liquid refreshment are pretty stellar.
Beer and cider. And there's a whole flight of cider and a whole flight of beer that you could. There's some IPA, there's the ale, there's a wide variety to choose from, so you could try it all.
I wasn't feeling the IPAs in this heat. That's just my personal preference.
Sometimes they're heavier.
Yeah.
And I was afraid of that with the cider, but pleasantly surprised, so.
I was expecting yours to be sweeter, and I'm glad it's not. I mean, it's sweet enough. I would not call this a dry cider.
No, it's not like a Magners. If anybody's had a Magners, that dry Irish kind of cider. So, all in all, I think this is a winner.
Yeah, agreed.
Stay tuned for more.
Okay, talking about all that did not make me any less hungry. Wow.
And it wasn't necessarily international.
International influences.
But international influences.
Yeah. When you're talking, like a mango sauce or mango chutney, that's usually, you're usually going outside the border there for that. Peanut sauce, kind of hints of Thailand, But
okay.
I'm not disappointed at all. I mean,
no, it was tasty.
And I'm also very pleased that, size of the wings were great. That's important.
I felt like we had enough bang for the buck.
And
you know what I mean?
Exactly. And we have talked about this on previous shows. There are some places that are really good value for the money. There are others where you might go, I don't know. Maybe not. Tasty, but smaller. Smaller, yeah.
Than this particular booth.
So they did a great job here.
Yes. There's more that we have to share from the Epcot Food and Wine Festival 2022. Look for it in our feed, maybe in some quick bites or some patron content coming up.
So stay tuned for that. But listen, that means that we are at the end of our show. That is a wrap. But before we go, we want to welcome our newest sponsor to the show, Fitz Kohler. You guys have heard us talk to her in the past here on the show. She's amazing. She's one of our favorite race announcers, authors, and just all around great people. And she's got something that she wants you to know about.
Yes, we want to tell you about Fitz Kohler's new course, Fixing Your Life with Fitzness. And Dana has just alluded to, Fitz is one half of Team Noisy along with Rudy Novotny. And we have heard them at the start and finish line of some of the most fun and iconic races that we have participated in, like the Donna Marathon Weekend and Gasparilla Distance Classic. And we've had Fitz on the show to talk about her experience as a cancer survivor and just the amazing and inspiring way she put it into a book. She is also an author of My Noisy Cancer Comeback. And from what I see in her social media feed, there might be some other books coming.
Yeah, I saw that.
Stay tuned.
But she's not just a pretty voice. She's also a fitness expert with a master's degree in exercise and sports sciences from the University of Florida, who has been teaching fitness around the world for decades.
Fixing Your Life with Fitzness is an in-depth course with over 5 hours of content that will change your life for the better in every way. It's broken down into some powerful modules, and Fitz teaches them herself And they include such valuable information like how fitness affects your career,
how to utilize family to achieve your fitness goals,
how to avoid disease,
how fitness can improve your relationships, all of your relationships,
how to live better and live longer.
Get started today at fitzness.com and use our discount code exclusively for the Runcation Nation. When you sign up, enter RED22, that's RED22, in the discount code box at checkout for 10% off the entire course.
And the discount code RED22 will also work on her fantastic book, My Noisy Cancer Comeback, which is available at fitzness.com.
Thank you to Fitz for sponsoring this week's show. We will put a link to the course in our show notes, of course. Check out Fixing Your Life with Fitzness at fitzness.com.
We are, and we can't wait to hear about your experience with it because we're loving it so far.
Absolutely.
Well,
that about does it for this week's show.
Thank you for joining us on your long run, your commute to work, around the house, wherever you are. I'm your host, Amy.
And I'm your co-host, Dana.
Stay safe and well, and we will accomplish, explore, and indulge with you really soon. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We're having another great year thanks to your support. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We're at Run, Eat, Drink Podcast. And on Twitter, we're Run, Eat, Drink Pod. You can also give us a call at 941-677-2733 or send us an email at info@runeatdrink.net. Visit our website at runeatdrink.net and click on the subscribe link so you don't miss a minute. Find out how you can support the show at patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast. Accomplish, explore, and indulge right along with us. We'll talk to you next time.